you brought up really early on about it being more like a video game. We talked about this last week a little bit, and this was kind of part of the statement that you had written. And in talking to some of the people that I've been talking with, it seems like for the people that are on this path and that are playing it like a video game, right? Like we're playing it the way that we think the science works, the way the rules work. We're trying to make it work for us. When I self-correct some of these patterns or this type of, some sort of issue, like when I was having, when I sent the text messages out, I didn't get a response back. I started having that old programming of, that insecurity bubbling up, and then the monkey mind and whatever. And the second I went into my heart space and I just sent love out, all of a sudden my texting started coming back. The messages started being returned. And I've seen this over and over and over, where the second I've corrected something, the program automatically responds to me. And so I was asking somebody about this, and she says every person that she knows that's on this path, that happens to. Wow. And is it happening to all of us, and we're just not paying attention, like the other people just aren't paying attention? Or is there something to, when you get into the synchronicity of it, of really playing the game, like it's a game, and you know what I mean, the path, or to that level, are you really interacting more with it, right?
Well, is it playing the game or transcending the game?
I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, I know. So it's a good question.
It's a good question to think about
and talk about.
I think it's both, maybe. But I mean, I would like to think that I'm transcending, but I don't know where. When we get into the some of the stuff that I actually sent you guys this week about the universe and how it works, or how we think it works, it could be playing it. The way that we are starting to realize, science is, anyways, about the holographic universe, that we live in a hologram.
Right.
That's right.
I think it's both also in a certain sense, because when you have when they talk about freedom, and I think it's freedom from your conditioning and freedom from your programming, so that then you can fully participate in the world, right?
However you wish.
It shows up. And also I feel like that what you were saying, where people that are working the path, or they're doing the work, or whatever you want to call it, then I think the field, when James talks about Ishvara, or the field of awareness, I think it's like when people say, if you take one step towards, the divine comes back to you multiple fold, so you're opening for that possibility. You're recognizing your patterns, you're seeing them, you're willing to open yourself to, as you said, to love. And I think the universe responds to that. And then it starts reflecting back to you what you're also reflecting out.
Right. There's definitely a reflection. We've talked about the mirror before, and then what filters would be there, right? When we're perceiving reality. I think that's part of the science of the universe, the reflection of it, and just the idea. I mean, even when we get down to the basics of it, and we've talked about this before, how it's all just data being processed in our brain.
Yes.
So but we live in it like it's real, and not to say that it isn't, but it still is not at a certain level.
That's right. It is and it isn't. That's
right.
Sort of the
conundrum,
polarity, the dichotomy. Yes. Well, is it or is it not? Well, it's not an either or answer. It's both.
Right.
But just knowing that it is a program helps me to navigate it more easily, right? Helps everybody to navigate it more easily. If you know it's a program, then this isn't the way I thought it was.
Well, I tell you.
So how do I navigate now? And it seems like you have a lot more flexibility to move differently once you realize you're not sort of like permanently embedded in this immovable world.
What's the big thing is it comes back to control. You are really more in control than we realize, and there's no victim here, right? I think it removes that victimhood that we've all been programmed to believe that we are a victim to a certain extent, and that we have no control. That's just the way. Ian's mom always says that. Well, that's just how life is. And
Who says
that's
that?
just the,
Ian's
I could
mom.
tell you every little saying that they have, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's
Yeah,
just the roll of the dice.
yeah. That's just how the Matrix is.
Right.
Right.
But when you have control, though, you can kind of bend it. When you understand it, you can make it work for you.
Yeah.
Right. You're getting some of that control back, where you feel helpless sometimes. And I think that's huge for us.
Right.
Because we are so powerful. We are, I guess really it comes down to realizing who you are. At the end of the day, that's what it is, isn't it?
At the end of the day, I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Because that doubt of who you are has been so programmed in. You know, you're a measly, wormy, you know, sinner, whatever.
Oh my gosh,
you know?
right?
Unworthy, blah, 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 all that. So that's been really well programmed in from a very early age. So we don't think of ourselves.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I sent you guys a video actually about that. You guys probably didn't get it. It was right before we got on. I came across, I've been going through some of my old stuff because I've got some new people that I'm working with. And I wanted to see, like, what were the videos? I've told you guys this before. I wanted to see what were the videos that were really moved me, like what really opened my eyes. What were the videos that I was watching that made me, you know, really look in deeper, you know? And there was a video of Miriam Delicato. And she was Bernard Alvarez. I don't know if you're familiar with, I know you guys know who Miriam is. They were talking about the inner dialogue. And this is 2012, shortly after 2012 happened, December 21st, 2012. And really everything they were talking about, I can't believe how far we have come as a society since that time.
Right.
They were talking about the general self-help stuff, like really identifying your feelings, identifying not even quite two patterns yet at that point. They were just learning how to speak your piece without offending others, but really understanding that everybody has a story and that we're not our story, and like these basics of like the self-help. And that was groundbreaking then.
Yeah, at that time it was.
You know, I was like, so.
But interestingly, if you look at just the statement, "We are not our story," that does equate actually directly to what we started off with, right? We are not the paradigm, the matrix that we're embedded in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we identify with that so much. The regular person does, the average person.
Yeah. So our story, meaning our emotions, you know, the emotions that we have that we think are ours.
Right. Or just the simple stuff like I'm a mother, I'm a, you know, a housewife, I'm a business owner, you know, I'm a wife. Things
anything,
like Or anything. We talked about that this past Friday. I cannot say again how important it is to quit reaffirming that I am an addict, because that's not who you are. You've experienced or are experiencing the disease of addiction, but you're not an addict. It's just not who you are.
How do they respond to that?
They love it.
They love it.
Good. Why that? Because that would like just basically be freeing them from this burden.
Yes. And the shame, there's so much shame that society has put on that word and what goes with it, and your actions. I mean, it's like, I saw this interview with Tommy Rosen where he says, you know, I'm at AA 23 years I've been clean, and I raise my hand and say, I'm Tommy and I'm an addict. What kind of message is that sending to the person that's only been clean for a year?
That's right.
After 23 years, I'm not healed from this disease.
Right.
And so at that point, so we talked about changing our language. We talked about abundance, really, and changing your language, how important it is.
Right.
And
very important. And it's very important to listen to yourself. You know, we talked about pulling your ears around, listen to what you say.
Right. Yeah. So can we change those words more to I'm in recovery, or I'm in long-term recovery, or I'm moving beyond addiction, or I'm experiencing, if you're still in active addiction, Charlene, I'm experiencing addiction, you know, things like that. So changing the words to that.
Or maybe something,
something like things.
Something like I am beyond addiction.
Yeah, moving beyond addiction.
Yeah,
no, not moving beyond.
Oh, I am beyond. That's
I am beyond addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a subtle difference,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a big, on the
Yeah,
one
and
hand,
that's
it's
what
a
I mean.
big
Like each
difference.
word is like almost a milestone, and it's different for everybody else.
Yes.
You know, for each person it's different. So one person may be in active addiction, and they would say, "I'm so and so, and I'm experiencing addiction," right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other person can say that this has been clean for 20 years.
Right.
I'm beyond addiction,
Mm-hmm.
right? At
That's
that point,
great.
so it's a different milestone for each person, but. Because our words are so important, and I've heard this several times, that the universe does not understand the negatives. So when we say, I don't want my car to break down, and I want my car to break down, the universe hears the same thing.
That's right. I've heard that
Right?
too. Yeah.
Right.
So you really got to, and really what I've learned, and I used this before, was the Mother Teresa quote where she said, "You cannot bring me to an anti-war. If you have an anti-war demonstration, I will not participate. But if you have a peace rally, I will."
Uh-huh.
And so it's all about the intention that we do things and the wording. Very,
Right.
very important. And we have gotten to a place where we don't watch the way we word things. We don't understand. It's looked beyond as insignificant.
No,
Yes.
and in truth, it's alchemy.
It is.
Language is deep alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you get the Barbara hand cloud?
Yeah, we watched that.
Yes.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of that? Well, you
I
said
thought
alchemy. It reminded me of the Alchemy of Nine Dimensions, the book that.
I thought it was very fascinating. I mean, she's very knowledgeable, right? I mean, she's
It-
got a lot going on.
It was interesting hearing her talk about the Anunnaki having control of the fourth dimension, right? And how the fourth dimension influences all of our emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about sort of how our emotions are sort of like created by some kind of archonic influence, yeah? And
Which I feel like would fit with the idea of the field, from which all these thoughts originate and are sent, in our direction, that we seemingly don't have any control over. They just appear in this field. And that kind of, I kind of could relate to what she was saying to that somewhat. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, well, because what has happened for me until recently, everything was concrete, and I heard her say that. So when I first read the book, I thought of the dimensions as separate places that we go.
Mm-hmm.
right.
But really, while you're here in this space, all of the dimensions are affecting us.
That's
And
right.
I didn't understand that. So you can be in the ninth dimension and still be here. And so when we say we're going to 5D, we're not going anywhere.
Right. We
So
already are all of it, right?
Right. So we can still see 3D, but live in 5D because of our vibration. And so I didn't understand. And we really do, as humanity, we make things so concrete. And I think that's where we've lost so much.
Mm-hmm.
When we would talk about different things that are in the Bible, different metaphors, we made them very concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about the Anunnaki, and she says Stitchin's work is a little flawed in that he has them coming in physical spaceships.
Right.
And really, if they reside in another dimension, that's how they affect us, not necessarily this physical concreteness that we give things.
Right.
And I did notice we do that with a lot of stuff, and have always done that. And I've seen the evolution of our minds, and I've experienced it myself, where I've been able to start perceiving things from a different point of view now, and a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
where things are existing in a different plane, just like what we talked about pre-meeting about how could this electronics come out when I was in elementary school.
Yes.
When they said we would have phones that we could see each other on when years in the future, and I just could not fathom how we would be able to do that. And so as I see our minds just expand and consciousness expand, I see everybody being able to move out of that concreteness. We're expanding. And I'm really seeing that now that I've been going back and watching these older videos, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm experiencing her book in 2011, The Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions, and then watching that video that she did with Regina Meredith recently on Gaia TV. The difference when I watched her back in 2011 or 2012 till now, and my perception of that information is just two different people. Like, I'm not even the same, thinking the same at all. My perception is so different.
Right.
I didn't even get it really. The first time I was like, huh?
I know. And you know what else I find interesting is that, you know, years ago, like back in like in 1948 or whatever, there seemed to be a whole lot more attention given to the physical showing up of ETs or craft or whatever. And now, you know, you hear it or you see it, but it's moved somewhat. And someone was saying, well, now what our focus is on is not really so much on ET craft or even on abductions. You don't hear much about abductions anymore. Remember the Whitney Strieber and all of that and all the talk of abductions, but now it's focusing on AI. So in line with what you were saying about the ETs possibly being from the fourth dimension or whatever, having a lot of control here, maybe that AI technology is coming from there. So we seem to be moving into an AI, you know, control, a lot of unknowns about the AI technology that's coming. Right?
That was actually in that interview, the Barbara Hand Clow interview, and
Right.
she even mentioned how us as a consciousness may actually be reinforcing, creating these things, because like what you mentioned, the abductions. We don't really see much on physical abductions anymore, and she talked about medicine, and we were having these abductions that were very violent. Right.
Right, that's right.
We don't
She was talking
hear
about that. We don't
anymore.
see that anymore.
Right. And was it our medical system? Were we implying some of this and turning this into, there is something there where we really are at creating, and we know this. We know that as a consciousness, we're creating the reality, and this war and the different things that are going on, this is part of the consciousness. And so were we reflecting these negative abductions? And now that we're getting to a place where we don't even need the physical alien, we're understanding that they could be coming from a different dimension.
Right.
And so there's no physical shift. Like, and so are we the ones that are creating the whole thing? All of it.
See, that's a very interesting point. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, she did mention that in that interview. Yeah, and I'm trying to articulate a little bit about what she said, but it made sense to me.
Yeah.
When she was talking about it, you know.
And I wouldn't have got that before.
You know, I wouldn't have gotten that either. It was very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels good when those epiphany moments happen.
Exactly.
You know, it all comes together.
Yeah.
So it's just a moment of this deep understanding, and then it's another 5 years.
Yes.
But they are getting closer and closer together.
That's right. That's right. But, you know, there is so much going on undercover that we don't know about. And just, you know, little things. And then we find out later, oh, that's why they did this, or that's why they did that. And so it's really interesting to me to keep uncovering kind of what's going on behind the scenes that we've been kept so in the dark about.
That brings me to the chemtrails and the solar, what's happening with the sun, and the video that David sent me. What is that kid's name? What's the channel?
Yes, I can never remember
something dissolving the illusion, or
yeah,
is it dissolving the illusion?
I think so.
He has a little a couple times a day he releases the current events or different ideas, and he's got the whole breakdown of ascension and what's actually happening with the sun. And as soon as I saw on that board that we had it backwards about the evolution of a sun, instead of going from blue to red, it actually revs up and goes red to blue and then white. And when he said white, and I'm like, that is, you know, I understood that is what's happening with our sun. That's why it was yellow and orange when we were younger. And that is why the sun is white now, because our star is getting ready to evolve.
Right.
And so
Cliff High was talking about the sun too in this latest WebBot report.
Was he? I haven't gotten that.
Do you remember what he was? I can't really condense it down, but he did do a talk, something that's going on with the sun that is pretty profound, right?
Right.
Could have huge implications.
And well, that's what we've been talking about as the event. We do believe that that's the event. And so and that's what this kid has in the Ascension video. I wish we would have saved that and tried to play that video. He talks about that's what happens with this, the radiation that the sun gives off when it evolves, when it goes into that white star, or that white, where it goes to blue. And that some of the prophecy that says the blue star coming in is actually the wave. And so all these things that happen in the universe line up to be like cogs in a clock, and they line up and like a trigger is pulled and everything happens all at the same time. And that's what's happening the sun releasing at the same moment that that energy wave comes in, all the cogs come together, and then we go into our light body, the rainbow body.
Wow, that's very cool.
So, and that was another epiphany moment, right? This past week, it just filled all those spots that things weren't quite fitting. It was such a resolution for me. That felt so right.
Right. So, because I haven't had a chance to see that yet. And so, because I was traveling, but we should post that. We'll post that link.
Yeah. Excellent video. But so in some of the other stuff I watched this past week, they talked about solar warden and the chemtrails. And so they know about what's happening with the sun. And so when you mention that about what's going on that they know about that they keep hidden from us, I wonder if that is why, like, okay, so Easter Sunday, I could see blue skies. They didn't chemtrail for a few days at all. And today I can't see the sky at all, but it should be blue out. And so is that what they're going to try to do, is with the aluminum and barium, when they know it's getting ready to get worse? And so we would normally see the rainbows in the sky, like all the prophecies say. When it's getting ready to go, we'll start seeing, like we saw this past week with the northern lights coming further down, the aurora borealis coming further down into the United States. Are they going to start really covering it up so we don't see that? And then is this going to work as a buffer so we aren't as affected by the sun? You know, is that what their goal is?
Well, I was wondering if that was the goal, was to protect somewhat. Or,
Right.
you know, there's so many theories. People say it's dumbing down with the lithium and all of that. So, but some people say they know something we don't, so they're sort of trying to protect or keep something from happening or maybe having as much an effect. I don't know. Then other people have said that, you know, when Trump got into office, that it was, some of it had stopped, or it seemed like it was slowing down. You know, but I don't think that's true at all. So you hear so many rumors about it. It's hard to know what they're actually doing, but they know something. We can bet on
and
that.
with the cabal, we know that there's usually not just one thing.
Right.
It's multi-layered, right? It's always multi-layered.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all these things just kind of lined up this week. Of course, tomorrow I could get new information and completely change the whole everything, the way that I view things, right?
Exactly. It's constantly changing, though. It is.
Yeah. And is it us? Is it us that's changing it? I really am starting to wonder if we have control of the whole game. I mean, the way these universes line up. There was another interview that I sent you guys about the universe, and they talked about that doorway. Oh, it was Linda Moulton Howe.
Oh, that's right, Linda Moulton Howe.
On Beyond Belief with George Norrie, and how that guy. There's a doorway. I had heard before. It was called the doorway to hell. It's in Peru.
Oh yeah, and the guy that went there and went through and
and then he disappeared, right? And he was in a room, and they said that it was another universe, and that our universe was by accident that they found us,
right?
Or they created.
They created.
Yeah,
I think they created us.
Growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And the experiment got out of control.
Got out of control.
Right. And that
I wondered if that's what they're trying to do at CERN. Are they trying to create that link, that hole, that's something that they can go through?
Right. Yeah. They say there's an infinite number. So are we trying to get into another universe? I mean, they've kind of said it in some of the interviews that when they talk about the quantum computing, they're talking about going into different universes and pulling information out. I do believe that that's probably happening. That would probably be one of those things that is happening, because if we know about it, I would say that.
Well, so if you had a chance to go through that doorway, would you do it if you knew you would come back?
If I knew I would come back? Yeah. If I knew that I was going to come back, yes.
Yeah.
But
I think it would be very fascinating, you know.
I would probably want a couple people to go first. I wouldn't be first in line.
I don't need first in line. That's right.
Well, because what if, like, you go through, and me being human in my negative mind, what if it's like some torture chamber for like 6 months, and then I come back? You know,
I mean, you have your memory wiped. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, and that's something I really need to work on, is because I say that I'm ready for like ET interaction, and then the first time I think of something like that, I think of something negative. So I still have a lot of fear. I've really got to conquer what fear I have in me and get to that love.
Barbara Marciniak spoke of that situation in terms of, Yeah, okay, so everybody says, yeah, I'd like to, meet some ETs. Right? She says it's very analogous to, oh yeah, it's analogous to thinking about being near a lion and actually being out in the open next to a lion.
Right.
Way, 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 way different.
Yeah, and how's your body? Knowing that we're two entities too, like in your mind, you might be very calm, but your body may do something completely different that you don't have any control over.
That's right.
Like the
well,
panic attack I had the other day.
Yes.
My body was doing something different and my mind was in a different place.
Right.
Let
And I worry
alone,
about the fact,
alone if you found yourself face to face with a reptilian or a mantid being apparent. So who was it? It was either Og or somebody who was talking about what happens for someone that happens to out of the blue is, the body just immediately goes into this total freak out mode. Yeah.
I think it was Corey Good. He said that they could be the ugliest to our view, right? What we perceive as, which is just digital input anyways, it's just code.
Right.
And have the worst smell, but they could be the most loving.
Yeah.
And the most and evolved.
Sure.
And so, but just our human bodies can't quite comprehend. It's just the computer, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's glitching. It just cannot compute.
Yes.
Cannot
That's
compute.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So, and even though in our mind, or not necessarily in our mind, but in our spirit and our soul, we completely are in a different place and loving, and we may not have as much control as we'd like to think we do when it comes to that.
That's right.
So, what else did I want to talk about today? We talked about the sun and Miriam and so I was wanting some help with okay, so the general population. Okay, we touched on this last week, how I said that there's like this station, like how economic station, poverty, and then middle class and upper class, and there's this disconnect. And what was happening to me was I, coming through life, would have these moments where I just didn't understand why people didn't think like I did. I would be very like, I would never do that. I don't understand how people think. I just didn't. Have you experienced that too?
Yes.
And what it actually played games with my security. It made me feel like I didn't fit in. I wasn't good enough, or it really did a number on me,
Right.
But and I couldn't quite understand. I was very overwhelmed with how do we help, and not that I have to help anybody, because it's everybody's journey, right? To find evolution, or to whatever their journey is. And but to try, I know that one of the goals for me is to bring this out more to the public, and I know that it would help a lot of people, not just in recovery, but in recovery, right?
Yes.
Ready for that next step in life.
The matrix,
Right. And I would see people and deal with people who were just in this survival mode. And so I finally got to the bottom of it. It's they need to survive right now in this moment. And so they don't think about tomorrow. And so I had shared with you the story about the young lady, and I'm going to probably share that so people can kind of get an idea. But this is happening every day, these types of stories, where there's a young lady, she gets a speeding ticket. She doesn't have the money right now to pay it, right? But she's in this survival mode. She has 3 kids at home, no family to really support her because everybody's off doing their own unhealthy life. But she's doing the best she can. Years go by, she doesn't pay it, but a warrant gets issued for her. She runs a red light and she gets arrested, and it's on a Friday night and there's nobody there. So she has 3 small kids at home. She doesn't trust the neighbors, but she has a sister who could take them, but she's in active addiction. And then the kids are there, everything's okay, but somebody knows that her sister's an addict, so they call children's services. And then somebody comes and takes the kids off of the sister. And horrible. Then this lady ends up fighting children's services back for almost a year to get her children back. All because she didn't pay a speeding ticket and she rolled through a red light. And so these systems are set up for middle class. The school system is set up for middle class. the system, the legal system set up for middle class. And unfortunately, and I would say that it's almost a game where they have it set up as it's a middle class system, but they have more and more of us being squished into poverty.
That's right.
And so it's a system that we can't survive in. And we're always just in the moment. And they want us to be in the survival moment because we can't, right. Who is thinking about the realm of the universe?
Yeah.
And how the universe works and how the matrix works, when they can barely put food on their table and have diapers for their children.
That's right.
And for them, because they're living that life and they're in that vibration of that is all they're getting back.
That's right.
That is how they're lined up, and that is the river that's flowing. That is the energy that's in their lives, and that's how it's going to stay. And they want them to stay there.
Right.
And so I had to understand that it's a survival thing. And so what I found is that if I could give people a taste of it, or they could see me, that I was there and I've done it,
right,
then it was expanding their mind.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so we started the meeting, and the lady was talking about, she goes, I am so stressed out, because we like check in on Friday, and I'm so stressed out. I don't have enough money for diapers. I don't know how I'm going to make it till the first of the month. And I said, we're going to talk about that today. And there was another lady that said, I need to take a job, but I hate doing telemarketing. It's an easy job to get, but I absolutely hate it. And so we did our meeting, and so changing I don't have money to buy diapers. I'm so worried, that how am I going to make it? I'll never make it to the beginning of the month. What is that sending to the universe? And they all had this moment, like, holy shit. And the other one, if I take this job, the door's not going to open up for something that I really want, right? If I'm just going to take what I have to take, and I stay in that, I'm just going to take what I have to take.
Yes.
That mentality. Mm-hmm. So once they really start to see that the words matter, the vibration matters, and they could feel that by being open to that. And this is a new thing. I don't know of any programs. Everybody really tries to, well, where's the recovery at? This is life recovery. And if you can be successful in this area, you won't want to do drugs.
That's right.
Because you won't need to escape.
That's right.
Because you're
That's
happy.
right. That's exactly right. That's a brilliant approach. Yes.
And I really see it's taking off. I'm getting to a place where there's not enough room in the room for everybody.
Cool.
So, and I've got some people that I'm working with on in a mentorship type.
Because that's getting to the root, that actually is getting to the root of the addiction.
Right.
Why do people use it in the first place?
Right.
They're completely overwhelmed, and they feel hopeless and despair.
Right.
And they feel like they have no options and nowhere to go. Well, what is using going to do for them? It's going to temporarily give them some sort of relief from that.
Right.
And I mean, we all do it. I mean, we all.
That's what I was just going to say. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Whether it's our computers or our phones or our Facebook, whatever it is, we all do that.
Right. But, to escape.
To escape. But these people get caught in because the drugs are easy.
Well, because it's the only thing that's illegal. It's not illegal for you to become a full-time student, a lifetime student, or become a workaholic, or, to not pay attention to your kids and be a shopaholic, or be addicted to food.
Or
those
gambling
or
whatever.
Right. This is the one thing that's illegal that society has really built up a big frowning on,
but there's a lot of push for it too. I mean, because there's a lot of money in it. So you've got all the dealers
right back
and all
to the poppy fields.
And that's right. and all the poppy fields. And so the system is set up to really entrap people, is my opinion.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
So let me ask you, Shar, did you,
that's great.
I know you were using this with your group before, the why affirmations?
I'm doing affirmations actually next week. I made it was 13 pages of natural therapies.
Oh, really?
And I have them go through and pick the ones that they were interested in. And guess what was on there? And I knew I could count down in my head, auto urine therapy. It's on there. And I know you love that one.
They said,
are we reading? What? I'm sorry. Is it called auto urine therapy?
No, just urine therapy. Or
on
UT.
The paper, hold on.
Or UT for short.
The one I have is called auto urine.
Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that might be another name for it.
Yeah, and so they said, now, are we reading this right? I said, yes. There's a lot of medicinal, and I said, we won't be actually peeing in cups and drinking it, but we will learn everything about it and all the great qualities that it has.
That's,
Because we've got lots of great stories about this.
absolutely. And if they want to follow through, they can follow through. Yeah.
Right, right. And that's what I'm doing
fabulous.
with all these topics.
That is so cool that you have that. That's wonderful, wonderful work.
So
Yeah,
describe again what you got, the
affirmations are
13
first one we're
pages.
doing.
You have 13 pages of what again?
Of natural therapies, so alternative therapies. So affirmations, meditation, I mean, Tai Chi, not Tai Chi, Qigong. I mean, anything you could think of was, I put it on the paper, right? Any of the modalities, EFT, all the modalities.
So is that overwhelming though?
No, because they go through and they pick the ones, that's what they have them all pick the ones that they're interested in, and we'll do 1 or 2 classes as much time as we need on each topic.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. And so we're starting with affirmations.
Great.
And then aromatherapy is next. And I have a ton of essential oils. So it's I'm excited because it gives me a chance to really play with some of the stuff. And and so they pick what the ideas, pick what resonates. Pick the one that you really like and start using it as part of your program, or a couple that you like and use them as part of your program.
That is so great. I love
because
it.
that's how I found my way, was by, I needed something, I was not happy. What's the point of being clean if you're not happy, right? And so something was missing. And so I started really getting into all these different modalities and trying them out. And then I made like a program for myself that I follow every morning. I meditate and I do yoga. I use essential oils. And so these things are part of my self-care.
Yes.
And so, and that's what usually recovering addicts, that's what's missing.
That's right. Self-care is really, really important. Yeah. So that's great that you're emphasizing that for them and helping them set up some kind of a routine or a practice.
And
even if it's just a few minutes a day, they can do it. And it helps them so much to ground and open up to new things, I think.
And that's what I was going to say, open up to new things, because these things typically will open the door for more.
Yes.
That's how what happened to me. It was like, ooh, feed me, feed me, feed me. Let me see what else I can find. Let me see what else I can find. And I just really down so many rabbit holes. But then they opened up another door, and then another door, and then another door. And so, and that's where you get to this place where you realize that you have control, that you're not a victim anymore.
Right.
And then you're happy. You find the ways to get happy, and then you have no reason to use.
Yes.
You don't need to escape. Just like we said, there's no more escape, because you have all the coping mechanisms.
That you
need. Right now, these
yeah.
people don't have coping mechanisms, not healthy ones.
Right. And when things start to turn around, which hopefully they will, right? Then there'll be positive reinforcement, for doing more.
Right.
So when you're doing your affirmations, do you have like a set of affirmations that you're gonna run by them?
I'm gonna do the why affirmations.
Okay, like any in particular?
I'm going to give my testimony of what's happened for me with the why affirmations.
Great.
But what did you have in mind?
Just wondering, like for instance, I mean, you could take it as far as the Vedanta affirmation. Why am I limitless? Just as an example of as far as you can go, maybe with a why affirmation, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's something I definitely use myself. Yeah, I think that for not all of them, but for some of them, and it was for me, was when I got feedback from the universe when I used the why affirmation, like with the truck, or why do we have so many vehicles, I don't know what to do, or I still have the why do I have so much food that I can't fit it all? I still have that since I did that affirmation.
That's so cool.
So that was back in November of last year. I did that affirmation.
Yeah, that's
and
so cool.
We have not been down to no food or bare bones, or you know what I mean. We've had more than we can handle, and that's that's what I'm going to share with them, because seeing that happen, doing the affirmation and seeing that actually play out for me wasn't enough to keep me going. And I think that's when you get results like that.
Yes.
It's enough to give you that charge that you need to really keep going forward.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me though, yes, the I am limitless is where I want to go next. But these people are still kind of just trying to make, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
we want to see the matrix give back right now.
Yes.
We want to get them in the vibration of abundance.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
That's
to be
great.
open to receive, because everybody seems to be programmed. We're programmed. And so they're in that poverty mindset.
Yes.
They're not even really watching the words they're using. They're not even, they're not realizing they're creating their own reality. They're
Right.
just victims still.
So you're starting with baby steps, and I think that's really good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yes, I do plan to have at least a few that get to the I am limitless.
Yes.
If not all of them.
Because that, you know, in actuality, that's a
Yeah, that's powerful.
definitely an abundance related affirmation.
Absolutely. Bigger than that. That's it.
But speaking of full refrigerators or refrigerator content management, we've been, of course, doing this vegan diet, and do want to talk about that at some point in this conversation. So I don't know if what else you had on your list.
Let's go ahead and move on to that.
Yeah, it just as we were watching last night, part of a presentation that we're going to send you a link to. It's a free sort of like how to start veganism on a limited budget, right? And so like all the steps you need to know about, you know, to do that. And I thought it was really
very well done. It's free.
presented.
It's a free little presentation, and it's on a website from Dr. Openlander, and it's Food Choices Academy for Health Studies. And he has a plant-based diet, lifestyle, and e-learning platform. But this one that we watched last night was a free one. And this girl is talking about organizing your kitchen and looking at, you know, labels, looking at prices of things, and talking about, you know, how to really utilize maximally your budget for the food that you want to get, you know, and how to avoid waste and all that sort of stuff. And I thought it was excellent. So
yeah, I'd definitely be interested in that.
And then in the course of that, we also were listening to our vegan couple that we like so much. What do they call them, Dave?
That vegan couple.
That vegan couple. And they were mentioning another documentary, and it's called Carnage, Carnage, and it's a mockumentary with some very interesting. They said it was a very interesting approach, and so they really highly recommended watching it. We haven't seen it yet. And then Dr. Openlander also has a documentary out, a food choices documentary that we saw that was excellent. And then one more, and I know I'm giving you a lot of info, but one more was Dr. Neil Bernard. And the one that we saw, he has several YouTubes, but the one we saw yesterday was What the Dairy Industry Doesn't Want You to Know. And I would highly recommend people, you know, if they're interested, to watch that one. It's just quite remarkable what they were doing. Particularly it's centered around cheese and the idea that cheese is addictive. You know, we talked about this last time, you know, it involves the center in the brain that is the same as a morphine receptor. So while certainly it's not as powerful as morphine, but it is the similar opiate-like substance in the milk. And they were saying that one of the things I found interesting was that this was probably part of the milk so that the cows would nurse, right? If it feels really, really good. And, you know, everybody's seen babies when they're first born and they're nursing, and that happy, wonderful little, you know, smile they get from the nurse. And the doctors were saying it may not be such a, you know, it was funny. He said, you know, we all think, oh, isn't that lovely, the mom and but it actually is, is probably the triggering of this site, you know, in the brain that feels so good, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just part of a natural process for thriving, right? It's built in so that babies will thrive and that cows will drink the mother's milk, right? So it was interesting. And then he was saying that when people go on a plant-based diet, one of the things most everyone says when you ask them what they miss, almost everyone says pizza. Because pizza has so much gooey cheese, you know, and he was talking about the government was even teaming up with the dairy industry to try to encourage more people to buy cheese. So they first teamed up with Wendy's, believe it or not. So the government and Wendy's got together, right? to try to see how they can encourage people to eat more cheese. So they came up with these programs, and they encouraged them to add cheese to more items on their menu. I mean, this is like part of a government and Wendy's cooperative. And then they also went to the other food chains as well, you know. And it was shocking, you know, not that I was shocked that the government would do that, but, you know, it was just very, very interesting. So I would recommend that documentary.
Yeah. So I started looking into changing. We talked about how do you change your diet, and David said the one shake a day is a good place to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's doable, right? Because that's actually, so we started tracing it back. That's actually how me and Ian started this.
Uh-huh.
We did a shake in the morning for the longest time. We were adding powders, and then we got rid of red meat.
Uh-huh.
And then we went to just fish and chicken, right?
Right.
And then now, so it's almost been a couple years of just fish and chicken until we watched the documentary.
Yeah.
And then we went to just the plant-based, which has been 2 weeks now.
And how are you feeling?
So that's what I was just getting ready to say. I feel great, and I'm definitely more aware of the energy in my body, and any small changes I can feel. It's like I don't have a whole bunch of filters and layers on me. I've really broken free. However, my daughter, they're not doing so well with it, right? So I'm trying to still incorporate some stuff that is kid food. And so I made these little chicken nuggets. They're shaped like dinosaurs. And I still try to buy as healthy as I can with that type of stuff, you know?
Sure.
And so, I don't know, in a moment of weakness, I ate 3 of them.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I got so sick.
Oh,
really?
Geez.
Yes.
Wow.
Because my body cannot I can't do it anymore. And I didn't realize that our bodies, we think we're healthy, but our bodies have just learned to survive with the junk.
Right.
Yeah.
When we really get rid of all that gunk and you put it back in your body's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong here.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with you with children. It's such a challenge, and I think that that even if you're doing several meals a week that are plant-based with beans, rice, fake cheese, whatever you can do to get the kids to like it, something that looks like, I don't know, lasagna. That they say there are some good recipes that use green lentils or something. Even if it's several meals a week, and then the rest of it, as you said, you supplement with what you know that they will eat. I think that's a great start.
Well, I made hamburgers with quinoa and mushrooms. I got this really great recipe, which, by the way, I'll give it to you guys. It's awesome. If you guys are still using now, it's got eggs in it, and it has I use coconut oil, so it's got that.
That's
in
good.
it. If you guys are still using eggs, I'm not sure, but so awesome. Me and Ian love them, and they look like hamburgers, and
good.
I think they taste like burgers, because then we put salad, like lettuce and tomato and barbecue sauce on them, and they were really, really good. Well, the girls, they might have looked like hamburgers, but not to them. They weren't going for it.
They weren't going for it.
I saw them turn their nose up at it. It was amazing.
Okay, so here's something that I've been thinking about, introducing younger kids to the idea of what actually happens before before you buy a package of meat at the market, and to somehow let them know that there is violence involved, right? That there is actual killing involved. I certainly didn't make that connection for a long time.
Well, they said that in that movie, that what was it? What the Health? They talked about how they targeted kids by removing it.
Absolutely. And so I don't think it's ever too early to plant the seed in the child that, okay, so just maybe even every time, okay, so we're going to do this, but just realize that we're taking a life here.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And then sort of work them up to maybe at some point showing them not a video, but like a still shot of a cow that's about to be killed And I'm serious, you know,
Right. No,
because
I
that
agree
is
with
the
you.
actual truth of it.
When
And I
I
think
think
if
of doing that,
children knew
right.
that their decisions were having to do with the ending of a life of a living animal, right? And to look at the face of that animal right before it was being slaughtered, it's intense.
Mhm.
Um, this thing we were watching last night was
Oh, the vegan
talking
couple. It
about
was great.
vegan activists, and apparently there are stickers that you can get that have this one in particular had this photograph of a cow just before it was getting slaughtered, and it zoomed in on the photo, and man, that was like
Terror.
you ever saw terror on the face of an animal, that was it. And it said, "Hi, my name is Chloe. I don't want
I don't
to
want to
die.
die.
I don't want to die,
Right.
but I had to in order to um, have in order for them
For you to have this
to
meal
have
or
this
something.
meat."
Yeah.
And so it was like a sticker that somebody stuck on a package of meat in a market somewhere, right? And so the story was of this woman who actually found this package, looked at it, and like to her horror, but then she felt like she was being manipulated,
And she
right?
got really
And so
upset.
it was in the Daily Mail, made it
It
to
was
the
it was
Daily
an article in
Mail,
the Daily Mail. Yeah.
you know, so which was great, and but it was this whole story of how this thing evolved. But I don't think it's too, like, if I had this awareness when I was a parent, I I would probably, moving in the direction of letting them know, hey, this is what's going on with meat that we've been eating.
I would say that when I think about doing that, and I totally agree with you, but my fear, and this is my own fear that I need to get over, is that they're going to be ridiculed. Like, they're going to say to grandma, "Oh, we don't eat meat because you're killing," and my kids are going to go to grandma when she has them the next time and tell them all about this.
Right.
And she is going to then, because gosh, when we said we were just going off red meat, the shit I had to put up with.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, she doesn't even know we're vegan or plant-based right now because of what I had to go through last time. So, or later on, just that now, I think when they're younger, they will get more used to it. So, but kids are so cruel. And if you do anything that is out of the norm.
Yeah, it's still
I agree with you.
What's more cruel?
I know. And this is my issue, right?
Yeah.
This is something that I have to work on, because
but you have to follow your own instincts, your own heart about what's best for you.
Do I want to teach them that stuff that just because the rest of society would ridicule them, I want to teach them what's right. So I would struggle. I'm struggling with this.
Mm-hmm. Now, how would the grandparents be receptive to watching a documentary like that documentary or no?
Probably not, but I mean, I don't know. You never know where somebody is, right?
You never know.
It could be exactly what they, so here's a prime example of my mother-in-law. She takes the girls on Fridays for me to go for my meetings. And I'm certified in a few things, and she doesn't know what my certification's in and or what I do. She just knows I do this meeting. And I told her that I started telling her every Friday she lets the girls, takes them to McDonald's on the way home for lunch.
Sure.
And that's the one fast food they get during the week is McDonald's. So I let her do that, whatever. I don't even say anything. But I was starting to tell her about the meeting and how excited I was that there's like standing room only, and that I have gotten a few certifications along the way, and that I have some new clients. And I was really sharing this with her. Is that really loud?
It's not too bad.
No.
Okay. And so she interrupted me and said, "Oh my gosh, look, they gave me 2 juices." And I said, so I didn't say anything. I thought, okay, I'm not going to continue talking and seeing if she even says, "So you were saying?" And she didn't say anything. It was like I didn't even. So the idea of any of the growth or spiritual growth, so she's completely doesn't want to hear anything about it.
Right.
You know, so even when it comes to recovery or me growing beyond the way, she's waiting for me to relapse. There's another person that's in our family who is a recovering addict, who who has been clean for 10 years, but he's relapsed every couple years. And so I have to be like everybody else. I can't just all of a sudden go to take myself to treatment and get better, because nobody does that. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, that's right. They're waiting.
And now I'm into all this wacky stuff, you know, the woo-woo. So it's even worse.
Yes,
and now I'm a
that's right.
vegan, so holy shit, the world is coming to a fucking end.
Really?
Right.
Well,
Jesus is
that
coming
woo-woo
down
stuff
tomorrow.
is a slippery slope.
That's right, man. I'm telling you.
All
it's right
of a sudden,
to hell.
before you know it, you're into veganism.
Oh, Lord.
So
Lord help
yeah,
us.
as far as educating them, I've tried with, so she's having a lot of stomach issues. And I said, you know what, me and Ian were both, and Ian had IBS. And I said, we put lemon in our water, like organic lemon, take a whole organic lemon. And in the middle of while I'm talking to her and telling her that, she interrupts me. And she just doesn't want to hear it. So I've tried several times to just little small things here and there, and she just wants nothing to do with it.
Right. Isn't that interesting?
So
It's very interesting.
And they sometimes get angry.
Oh, I know, because the thing is, and also like with the dairy, you know, like they've shown that dairy and, you know, cheese can cause all these problems with IBS, endometriosis. The one lady that when he did the talk on what the dairy industry doesn't want you to know, there was a young girl that she had endometriosis, and the doctor was telling her, look, she's got to have a hysterectomy, and she wanted to have children. And she's like, well, I don't want to do that. And somebody just out of the blue said, well, why don't you try not eating dairy? She was eating yogurt and stuff. Why don't you just try not eating dairy? And do you know that when she went back to her doctor, again, they did laparoscopy or whatever. He could not find, he came out of the operating room, told her husband, it was a miracle. This is what he said. The doctor said, it's a miracle. He could not find any abnormal, sign of endometriosis.
And then they told him,
the
husband it could be a result of the diet that we did?
And the doctor goes, no, it was a miracle. It was
no,
a miracle.
Right?
Just,
they say it every time. They won't admit it. So we saw in that documentary, What the Health, where at the Diabetes Association, he said, I'm not getting into that argument with you about diet. And he's like, there's no argument. I mean, he wasn't argumentative at all. He said, well, those aren't peer-reviewed studies. He said, well, they say peer-reviewed right here. They were peer-reviewed studies. So they, and even with some of the people that I've discussed this with, they're like, well, why doesn't our doctor tell us that? Our doctors don't even get training in nutrition. They tried to pass that thing where they have to do 7 hours a year of nutritional training, and everybody was against that.
I know.
So,
it's crazy.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Because why, if we changed our diets, what would happen? There would be no disease, and then they would be out of business.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
so, but what is interesting to me is the resistance of people who are sick. Right? If somebody said, look, if you just do this, you know, your problem 99% go away, you know, wouldn't, you know, and they still won't look at it. But you're right, doctors aren't informed, although they did say they think this wave is coming. And just like how you were saying that like 10 years ago or in 9/11, we were hearing different things about consciousness and awareness. In maybe, I don't know how much time it might be, but people are going to look back and say, gosh, you guys really did this? You killed these animals and you ate this meat. I mean, you know, there's going to be a time.
And I think they'll do that with medical industry too.
Yes.
Like how savage we were. Because we think about years ago, 100 years ago, how savage they were. They did bloodletting and they thought they were cutting edge.
They put leeches on you.
Right,
right. That was all cutting edge, right? So I believe that day is coming. And I think it starts with just, you know, more and more people just becoming aware. And at some point, there has to be a shift. Because the data is going to be too overwhelming.
Right.
So
or
just
the sun goes and we all evolve before then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, so you've switched to pretty much, vegetarian.
I wouldn't say vegan, pretty much vegetarian.
Vegetarian. So now did you explain to your kids why the sudden shift?
Well, we weren't, it's not really a sudden shift because we were already kind of doing
You're already
it
for 2 years
anyways.
cutting way
Right.
back. Yeah.
We were slowly doing it. So there wasn't a sudden shift here.
Yeah.
And that's what
Okay.
I was saying is you have a good point with that, David, when you say that the 1 shake a day, start with 1 shake a day.
Yeah.
When people think about becoming vegetarian, it is the idea of it is so overwhelming.
It is very overwhelming.
It is.
But if you do a little bit at a time over a couple year period like me and Ian did, it
Right.
hasn't been that different.
That big of a shift.
But
And
I
even that
mean-
doctor was saying on the diabetes video that we saw in our CHIP program, even 1 plant-based meal a week cut the incidence of diabetes by 19%.
Right.
So if you can even think about it, as I said earlier, even incorporating a few meals a week, if you don't want to just go on the total vegan, throw everything out and do it from scratch, which is what we did. But
and that's what I was
that,
thinking when I had those 3 chicken nuggets, by the way.
Yeah. No, but where I was going,
I won't think that again.
Right.
where I was going with that
Sorry, Dave.
is that you have been doing chicken and fish, right, for the last couple of years?
Yeah.
Okay, up until recently, right?
A couple weeks ago, we cut it off.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. So the kids at some level have noticed that, especially when they're being presented with fake hamburgers,
Right.
right? And so maybe it would be appropriate to just let them know one of the reasons why we're doing this, it has to do with how animals are treated in order to turn them into meat, and maybe just leave it real simple, not get gory detail,
Right.
and just sort of like plant the seed and walk away from it, right? Just a little tiny seed and then walk away from it.
Or the other thing that I
You
think you
know
can
what I mean?
mention to children is, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go
Dave.
ahead.
Go ahead. The other thing you can mention to children is that you've done a lot of research, which they know you research things, and you've done a lot of research and you've discovered that it's really, really healthy.
That I have said.
Yes.
That I have said.
And that's great too.
But
of
the
course.
violence part is the biggest part for me.
Uh-huh.
Because once I started and I was a week in and I could feel the energetic difference. As I told you before, when I would start eating, I would feel something immediately. And I was like, there's no way it could be this food. I just started eating. And then I found out that you do have a reaction almost immediately from some of these chemicals.
And these kids are such high beings anyway that are coming in.
They should be open to it.
You know that they would their heart would just go out, if they knew what was going on. So just if there was I'm sure you can figure out if you want to pursue that, some gentle way to just sort of drop the little seed in about that issue, and then that's all they get, and if they start asking about it, then that's them. That's
right.
doing it.
Right. Yeah. And I think you're totally right. I as against the grain as I am, which I really think is the natural way that we should all be. I think the other way is more against the grain, but I shouldn't be so upset by it and so worried about it, because I know that the bigger picture is, okay, let's just say, for example, there's a lot of kids in the area that I live in that do a lot of things that I don't let my kids do. A lot of things. And I don't feel uncomfortable about that.
Yeah.
And they're different because of that. And this should be no different. It's my own programming and worries and fears that is stopping me from doing, and I am all about ending the programming. So I'm sure I will do this. But I wanted to mention, did you guys ever see the commercial where they have people taste milk and then they tell them it's dog's milk? It's like an advocacy commercial. So they have people taste milk and tell them what's the best. We're doing a milk tasting thing, and what's the best brand? And they're like, oh, for sure this, and they're like, it's dog's milk, and people spit it out.
Right.
And the point of it is what's the difference? We drink cow's milk. What's the difference? What animal it is?
Right.
So people have this adverse reaction to,
exactly.
Like it's disgusting to drink another animal's milk, but it's completely okay to drink cow's milk.
I know, and they're talking about how they create the cow's milk. They have to keep the cow perpetually pregnant.
Now, I have a meme that I've shared on Facebook, and I haven't sent anything to you guys on Facebook because you guys aren't really on there, but I will shoot it over to you. All the precarious ways that we feed off of animals, how we have the little suckers on their tits, and how we have them in these kennels, and how we have them go down to slaughter, like down these aisles and stuff. Well, there's all these memes of humans, what it would look like if another species was doing that to humans. And so it's got women with the things on, and how we're and how we're basically raping the animals to inseminate them, and,
That's
all the things that we're doing. And so we have that, and there's like probably 100 memes of it.
Well, you know, there's something in that mockumentary. They do that. I think I haven't seen it yet, but we showed the trailer for that mockumentary. They show similar things that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
Yeah,
it's very disturbing. And so that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to come off the meat. And this was a long time ago. And I think I mentioned this. Like, what if there was a higher race, and I use that very loosely, like we're advanced in some way, that was going to try to take advantage of us? And then I realized, holy shit, they are. They are.
Right.
You know? So they're doing the same thing to us, but in a way that makes us feel like we're free.
Yes.
Right? They give us all these amenities to make us feel like they're not, you know, we just will make it feel like they have this beautiful life.
Right.
Except we're not even that courteous to the animals.
That's right.
Right.
In fact, as we said last time, I think in the documentary, they were saying that we have not become more humane in how we kill the animals. We've become less, which is, I find, very disturbing. Because we have the technology. We have the technology for it to be way more humane than we did however many years ago.
Right.
But we choose not to go there, which is very upsetting.
Right. It is. It kind of takes us to the expansion.
Yes.
You know.
Anyway, so that's what I just wanted to bring that up again. So, I'm glad you noticed. It's interesting you noticed such a big difference when you.
How about you guys?
We're feeling good. It's interesting because we've talked about this for years and just never really did it. And we were aware somewhat, although, what you do is you put it out of your mind, with the issues of meat and slaughtering and all of that. And you think, oh, you're buying grass-fed. You have this vision of grass-fed beef. They must be happy little, grass-eating the cows and all this. So you don't really take it in.
Right, and that is part of the cycle of life. What were some of the other? It was like
there's the whole thing.
graphic somebody put together about this
we're
block
carnivores.
wall.
We have teeth, and so
and each one of the blocks represented one of the excuses that we use to justify
eating meat. So
eating meat.
But so I did it, at my doctor's urging because of my cholesterol. That was the number one reason when I initially started. But as I'm learning so much, I think education is key. Because I think if everybody saw, some of these documentaries and really thought about it, there would be a change. But for me, learning so much about it has been hugely helpful and has kept us focused. And we haven't fallen back in moments where it's tempting, like you said, if it's in front of you and you not quite maybe planned or whatever, you're going to grab something, But so we're trying to stay ahead of it, so we aren't doing that very much. I've had a few falls, but yeah. So primarily it's health, and I'm having blood tests this week. To find out where my cholesterol and all of that kind of stuff is. So I'm really interested to see.
Yeah, me too.
Because I've been pretty strict with it for they said go all in for 30 days, meaning no dairy, no meat, no sugar, limit your salt, very little oils, at least for a month. And see, and do nuts and beans, and plants and veggies and all that. So I'll let you know.
Yeah,
we'll get the results on Thursday night. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to see what the change is, how drastic the change. How are you guys sleep? How are you sleeping?
I'm not sleeping now, but I always have.
What we stopped is the ion magnesium, the ionic magnesium, and you guys said you haven't been taking your supplements, and so I actually. One of the side effects of a lot of the people that are in recovery is either they can't sleep or they want to sleep all the time. And I had told you I accidentally ran into magnesium as something that I was missing accidentally, and I felt so good. It was because I was getting more than the recommended of the magnesium. Well, I got rid of all that, and now I'm back to not sleeping, and I'm having the panicky heart and all that stuff. And so I told everybody that I would find, some suggestions on, and so it comes down to the trace minerals and the magnesium. Again, over 1,000 chemical reactions in your body that we need more magnesium. We're
Yeah.
not getting it.
Yeah.
And so I actually ordered it. It's supposed to be here today, the ionic
great.
magnesium,
Great.
and I'm getting
Great.
back on it right
Yeah.
now. And I will let you guys know if I'm able to sleep again. 'Cause I
Let
really
us know.
think
And then
that's
I also
Yeah.
ran across a magnesium balm. I was on one of these websites, and it's something that you can make. It's very inexpensive apparently to make, but it's you use highly concentrated magnesium chloride flakes, unrefined virgin coconut oil, beeswax pellets, and unrefined shea butter, water in quart-sized jars. You can add some essential oils in it. And they said you can make it, and then you can just rub it on, because it's absorbable in your skin. You can rub it on your body. It's like a shea or butter or cream lotion, like an hour before you go to sleep. And people are saying that it's really helping them.
Yeah, we're gonna
try
make
it.
some and try
I'll
it.
let you know.
But my feeling is that it'll be similar to the magnesium, which is of course way easier to do.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun to make this butter. You know, I wrote it all down. So
yeah, we're gonna try it. If it works way better than the magnesium, we'll let you know. But
yeah, thanks for that reminder, because I have it sitting over here and I forget to take it, the magnesium.
Yeah, I think that we've seen a difference, and we can definitely say that we're not getting what we used to get out of the vegetables. That's definitely depleted soils.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But
personally,
I've been sleeping really well.
Of course
but this is a man that can sleep anywhere.
You know why? Because you're infinite.
There you go. I'm limitless
Limitless
ability to sleep for long periods of time. But no, and I've started also doing the ionic magnesium, not as often as Sandy does, but Sandy, I try and make some whenever I make some for me to just make a glass for her.
Isn't that sweet?
I just pour like a couple capfuls in a glass and then top the glass, or like fill the glass half with water. Yeah, that's all you need to, because it's sort of nasty if it's too strong.
Right. Are you still doing the apple cider like as a little drink?
Yes, I'm doing that. I put a little bit of apple cider in with my water bottle that I carry around with me, along with baking soda, just to get a little bit more alkaline. I noticed my pee is because we have little pH test strips now, and every now and then we test it, and my pH, my pH is higher than it was, and that's good. It's a good thing. It's supposed to be higher than 7, a little bit higher than 7.4 optimally, but that's an indicator. Well, I don't know. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and the diet and everything.
Oh yeah, the diet.
So I mean, that's one way to know that your body's on the right track too, and it's very easy to get a little roll of that paper and check yourself every now and then.
Right. Yeah, I had finally found the organic baking soda, and I ordered it. I have a whole bunch of it. And the day I had the panic attack was the day that I did the baking soda, so I'm scared to use it again.
Oh, so I wouldn't. That's highly unlikely that was related. But also, the ionic magnesium was something that you were using too, that you felt was attenuating your panic attacks, maybe?
No, that wasn't the magnesium. No,
the magnesium was attenuating your panic.
Oh, it was calming down.
Yes, calming down.
Yeah. So, yes, it'll be interesting to see now that you have some again, what impact that has on your diet too.
Right. Yeah. Sleep.
But that might be an interesting supplement to mention to your group. I know that they, in general, don't have a lot of money to spend on these kinds of things, but so like if you had to say one supplement, or
that's what I presented to them.
Yeah.
That's what I presented to them, and magnesium. Because it's got, oh my gosh, I printed. It was 10 pages of different things that it does for you. I mean, PMS, anxiety, heart, cholesterol, blood pressure. I mean, magnesium in sleeping or not sleeping. So what I found was the ionic magnesium, and I found the cheapest that you could get. It was on Amazon, $19.99 for a
$19. Yeah.
A 90-day supply. So I mean, that's what, $7, less than $7 a month.
Absolutely. Well, that's great.
That's great.
Showing your group.
They made a 30-day commitment to it.
Nice,
Perfect.
Great, wonderful.
Which is a big thing for recovering addicts.
Absolutely.
It's a big thing, but that's very helpful. our real estate agent here, when we were buying our house here, her husband had heart surgery, and we mentioned the ionic magnesium to him, and he takes it every single day. I mean, he said it made a huge difference in his life. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a shame that we're not getting it the way that we should. You should be able to go fully vegan and not have to take supplements.
That's right.
It's just another affirmation that we're not doing things properly.
That's right.
I mean, it's just like the way that we're, slaughtering the animals. We're not even doing it properly when it comes to agricultural, period.
No, because of all the pesticides that we're using in the glyphosate. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Now, the only thing they mentioned about supplements and veganism is the B12. The B12 is important.
Yeah. I take it's by Bold House Farms. They have like it's a organic smoothie that's got a whole bunch, and they come in like different, like your Bs or your vitamin Ds, and they come in these different, they come purple, red, and I take it, and my smoothie actually has it's very high in B12, and it's just coffee. So I mix the two Bold House Farms together with my kale, banana, and blueberry frozen mix.
Yay!
That's how I know that I'm getting, you know what I mean?
Your
so
B12.
It's on some of my things that are already pre-mixed.
That's good. And the kids too. The kids probably could use the little B12
they
help.
love that too.
They've got the gummy stuff too, but
that's what they've always drank anyways. See, that's another thing. Like, I never let my kids have pop. We don't buy pop. I've never bought pop.
We don't either.
Right. So, and I never bought like no sugar drinks. Really, it's been 100% organic, natural juice, and it's a lot of money, but it's always been worth it to me to know that they're getting what they need.
Exactly. That's very wise. Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, I just could never, the only thing I did was the Ovaltine in the mornings with the milk, but we cut that out. We're not doing the milk anymore. I got rid of the milk altogether with them, and they transitioned perfectly out of it. No questions asked, really.
Right.
I think I did say something like it's healthier this way, or it's, I found out that the milk's actually not really good for you, or whatever. And okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's great. And I was reading an article a couple of days ago. They said just drinking one diet drink a day increased your risk of dementia and stroke by like 300%. It's huge.
Yeah, I was, another thing that took me back was when they had that whistleblower for the USDA that said that we probably have mad cow and it's being misdiagnosed. And did you hear that? That was
yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
And so, we were talking about that there's really not that much difference between the poultry and the red meat. That was just a big agenda, basically. And so I said, but Ian said, so it really doesn't matter. And I said, well, yeah, the mad cow is an issue.
Right.
That's being passed off, and we're not even aware of it, that it really is within the population, and it's being misdiagnosed.
That's right. So, yeah. Interesting, huh?
I mean, it's just safer all around. Whether you look at it, the energetics, or you look at, however the inhumane practices, no matter which way you look at it, it's just better.
Yes.
There's no way to really, you can't really come with an argument that really withstands, it just doesn't.
Any kind of scrutiny. Yeah, right. There isn't one. I know. That's really interesting.
It's a no-brainer. It really is.
It's a no-brainer.
So it reaffirms for me the level of programming.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just sometimes wonder what is real.
Really?
Well, we've talked about that. Don't get me started.
Oh, well, I know. That's right. We don't have time on this call to go into that one.
Sorry, for that one again.
Well, the other thing I think too, I mentioned this on the call. Please forgive me if I say things too many times, but I didn't realize that the protein that you get when you eat meat, say beef, for example, is from the plants that the cows ate.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. We talked about this last week. I was sharing it with somebody. They didn't know that either, and I said we might as well cut the middleman out. So we save
cut the middleman out
and just have the protein right from the plant.
See how much money you save.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's nothing. The animal doesn't make the protein better. It doesn't make it more digestible. It's not putting it in a different way. It's you might as well
it just has added fat.
added everything, right?
to clog up your arteries.
Yeah.
But then you miss
Anyway.
out on all the benefits of blood sacrifice.
Oh, Dave.
Right. All those.
No, I mean, it could, I mean, no, so facetiously, but
I know your sense of
but
humor,
that's
my
but
part of
gosh,
it.
I would
That's
hope
part of
that
it. That's part of what we've been indoctrinated with,
Yeah.
the
Right.
acceptability of like that.
The programming is unreal.
and it's really
I
interesting
mean,
now. See, when I grew up on my family, we came from, they grew up on a farm, and I used to go and visit my aunts and uncles, and they had this whole different relationship with their animals. Yes, they ate meat, but they knew the animals, they took care of them, and it was sort of like a that when it was time to kill a cow or whatever, they did it in the most humane way and with a lot of caring. You know what I mean? Because they had been around the cows, for a long time. So it was a completely different sort of way of going about it. And we just don't have that. We just don't have that now.
Yeah.
So.
Right, they've really found a way, and so many levels to use every situation to benefit them. With even the way we eat. To, like you said, the blood sacrifice. They're doing it facing a certain way. I mean, all the plants are on ley lines. Like it's like the way that they're doing it is. And they do this with everything in our lives. And then they program us to believe that it's all okay. And this is how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
And
they put Ronald McDonald in the restaurants and make it all fun to eat your hamburgers.
They do it. They start real early, right?
Yes.
They start early with us. I mean, but we've seen a couple generations. So they didn't quite probably do that when you were real young. But it didn't start for me until I was, they hadn't quite got there. They were just starting to do that stuff when I was probably in like maybe second grade.
And that was based on a lot of research. So they had great research to see who they should target. And it was the children that they decided to target within a certain income bracket.
Right. And we, so you figure they wait, they're patient, and so they will start with a whole generation, and then that generation does it with their kids, and so they're slowly weeding us out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And getting it and I know I said that earlier about the victimhood, and so there is a level where I am not a victim, but this stuff still exists in the matrix, and we still have to know what we have to overcome.
That's right.
And
education, and as I said, education is the way to go about it, and really just being informed and aware and help. There are people that are open to it and people that aren't. Like your mother-in-law, she may never be open to it. But it goes out, and the people who are ready will hear it.
I'm just interested to know why. Like, why are they so close to it? Why? Why would it? I just don't. And so I'm taking on the two mentees of doing this mentorship program with the recovering people that are in recovery, and I'm doing one male and one female, and I'm giving them the same information because I'm kind of curious to see how they each process it. I just want to know. I have to know how the mind works, and I mean not the way that psychologists and psychiatrists, not the way that the medical school, like on a human spiritual level from this perspective.
Right.
How it's working, because that anger that my mother-in-law and my father-in-law have when I bring up certain topics that they should not get angry about. It's like because you're questioning their programming and their dynamic, or something's happening that triggers this anger.
Yes, and I think it's the same thing that programming.
When you trigger somebody about their
political views,
their political views or their spiritual views, or this is their identity that you're messing with, right? And man, don't mess with my identity, because if you do, then my whole world's going to fall apart, and that's like murdering me. I mean, so I think that's why you get that kind of intense reaction and resistance from people, because their identity is everything to them.
Right. And they don't understand. Like my mom sent me, when I first brought Kelsey on, I got an email from her that she wanted some help from me. And I said, well, the first thing you need to know is that you're not your story.
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah.
different. Your body and you are two separate things, that you're not your body, you know, that they're two separate entities, and that you're not your story. And I think that, yeah, there's to take somebody's identity away is they really, if there's not a willingness there,
Right.
that's the, like with the mentoring, there's a willingness already, so I'm probably not going to
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
They're ready. They both said
they're
we're ready
ready.
to expand our minds.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
To
key,
anything.
and that's the key. And some people just aren't. And I do think it's
Yeah.
it's programming.
Yeah.
And then they get this. Then I think the brain becomes like in this solidified,
Very solidified,
mass,
not
and it's like
open,
concrete to get through.
not open to new ideas today.
Right.
You know,
Just keep it all. Just keep it all. Just I'm managing. Just keep it all. Don't do anything to upset my apple cart here, because I can't handle it. And I've done it this way for so long, and all of that whole thing. And it's impossible.
Well, here's the thing: is that with my in-laws, they are the most awesome people. They are not service to self. They are service to others. They would do anything, give you the shirt off their back. That's the part that just I don't understand.
Oh, I see.
It's like they're so, without even knowing it, selfless. But some of it, now I will say that there's an underlying story there, because even though my mother-in-law does so much, it's the martyr.
Yeah.
So there's that. And though I appreciate it. So it's like I appreciate all that she does, and I love her so much.
That you want to share certain things with her, and would love for her to be open to it. I understand. Yeah. I do. I mean, I sent this information, I think I told you, to my daughter-in-law and her mom, who has the kidney problem, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I went to the class and I got some more information. So I sent her a text to get it to her, and I never heard back from the text. And then I left another voicemail message with some more information. She never even responded. Now, this is the daughter-in-law who has a degree in nutrition, actually. So I thought she'd be even more interested, and maybe she is, and she's just busy and didn't have time to respond. Like you were saying, when someone didn't respond, all this stuff. But it is interesting. It really is interesting.
But it's like your
people don't.
Go ahead.
No.
But so it's like, Shar, your text, or after sending texts and no response, and just sending out love and so forth. Oh, I lost the thought.
Well, but my point on this was, I don't know if it's because she's not interested in what we're sharing, which is what you would say that your mother-in-law wouldn't probably have an interest in this, or not. I don't know, but it is interesting how people are hesitant sometimes to embrace something that's so different.
But the idea is that if you put something out there and at first they don't respond, it is possible that they'll hear about the same thing from somebody else, and that'll be the second time they've heard it, right?
And that's what it'll take.
And that's what it'll take. Yeah. So you never know.
Anyway.
Right. Yeah, you're just planting seeds sometimes.
Yeah.
Planting seeds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But one of the things that we see repeatedly is that people that are so sick, when you give them these alternatives, they will not explore them.
Right.
And that, to me, is I just don't. It's programming. Again, it's programming, and it's what I know. It's like, I call it the battered wife syndrome, right? Because you'll see women who will be beaten, right, or vice versa, domestic violence, and they'll be in these horrible relationships, and they are given the opportunity to go and have things taken care of, but they will go back because the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
That's
exactly.
right. That's right.
They have that mentality.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too.
Programming with everything in our society.
That's right. It's the familiar. That's so alluring.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I can cope with the crazy in my world right now. That's unknown, and I'm too scared.
Right.
And that's something that people in recovery run into very often. Is the change is very scary. You have to change your whole life.
That's right.
To get away.
That's right.
And every level.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
And so, in recovery of this waking up and this spiritual quickening that's happening is not that much different.
That's
Again, they run parallel.
Yes, I agree.
It's about the change and the identity, and not messing with my identity and not messing with my change.
And the truth is that when people are ready, they're ready.
Right.
And it's really not our job to to try to save the save the world or whatever. But it is our job, to the best of our ability, to share information to people
Right.
who want to hear it.
The one thing I did get out of the Roxanne Swinehart thing, was that I am a lighthouse for people to see, and that I give off that energy of unconditional love, and I give it that expectation.
Yes, yes.
So,
not to be not to be underestimated.
Well, that people will take, but it's just your job to plant the seeds, to be there, to unconditionally give the information.
That's right.
And not in a preachy way, just really leading by example again.
That's right. And then they'll take what they can get. If they're ready for it, they'll be there.
Right.
And that's great. Well, I'm so excited for you about your group.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Congratulations.
When I first went into recovery, I had like this big mortality moment where I'm like, holy shit, I could have died. And so I thought, if I died, nobody would even know. Like, I wouldn't be missed. Nobody would know who I was. And so I had this like, oh my gosh, I need to leave a legacy. I have to do something that's important. So I feel like I'm on that path now.
You're on that path for sure. Yeah, they're very lucky to have you. I'm thrilled. That's great.
I'm excited about not just getting people to a healthy state, but then even further, right?
Yes.
Not just the AA meetings and just living healthy, living sober, actually loving life and thriving. That's what I'm excited about. So
wonderful. Yay.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what your blood work comes back and seeing.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, we'll see.
That's
we'll
this
see
week,
next Sunday.
Right? This Thursday, you said?
Yeah, this Thursday, yeah.
So we'll find out on Sunday then, or send me a text and let me know.
Okay, I will. All right. Well, hey, this has been great. Thank you so much.
It's like every other Sunday, I really enjoy my Sundays. I look forward to it. So.
I do too.
Same here.
We do so much. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will, send you some emails of more fun information and adventures for the week, and then I'll see you next
appreciate it.
Okay. Hey, we always appreciate what you send us so much. You're fantastic about that.
I'm just sharing whatever I'm coming across. So
I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. All right, dear. Have a great day. Enjoy your. Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.